The AMS2 V1.6 update was one of the most highly anticipated updates in sim racing and will be the biggest one in AMS2's history. So today I'm going to talk to you how you can actually prepare for it. And first of all, what I would do is obviously keep caution with anything. And what I mean by that is how everyone is talking and how Renato likes to talk, maybe gives leaks something or accidentally says a release date and that actually doesn't follow. What I'm trying to say is don't get too mad about anything, because I maybe have accidentally made a few people mad with some comments and stuff, but try and keep it civil. And what I'm going to show you today is what I would do if I was in your position, as in not a beta member. If you were a beta member, obviously just drive the beta in preparation for the V1.6 update. But now, let's get into what I would do. So first of all, I would keep in touch with the forum. So I can't show you this section, the AMS2 Paddock Club, but here, what I would do is obviously keep an eye out here, maybe read through the March development updates or what happens here. I would read through, like here you can read the people, me and Mr. Git had some comments about redacted, somebody thinking we are children, and here, if you're looking for something to do in the meantime, and I haven't already, go watch the historic moment that took place today with SpaceX. But absolutely bonkers. Yeah, I agree to a sort of extent, but what I'm saying is you can read here. Then what you can also do, when you have read this or are reading this, and maybe it becomes a bit boring, you maybe want to learn, what should I do when AMS2 V1.6 comes out? And what I would do, when talking about the physics side, I would read the setup guide. So this setup guide and setup options here are personally written by me, and I think Steelcast has read through them a bit or have done of them, I'm not fully sure. But here it has a lot of information on how to set up your car. So this could be an important aspect for V1.6, because it seems like physics won't change so much, which could mean that there will be no big physics updates, which could mean that we maybe will have these setups forever until something happens. So that's actually a positive. And if you're a bit unsure with V1.6 what to do, or if you want to just reset up everything, I will be releasing a how to get started with AMS2 guide, as pointed out by Niels Naujoks that it maybe was a good idea. So I thought, I have the wiki, let me do that. So I've written it, I will read through it and everything bit before V1.6 comes out. And then when I can release info to everyone, I will release it to the public so everybody can read through it, even if you have AMS2 or not. So that's what I would do. Also is read upon a lot of that. And if you want to see what I have done, read through and stuff, well, let me just bring up here, pick thick piece of paper for setups and stuff. Then I have here other thick pieces of paper, also setup related. Have them here somewhere. Don't fully. Yeah, put it something like that. And then here I have even more thick pieces of paper. So in total, are these included? Oh no. But in total, you have something there. And actually we can use a ruler for you to understand how thick this stack of paper is, which I have read. If we see here, roughly 6 centimeters thick, so bit less than 2.5 inches. So as you can see there, I've read quite a bit of papers on setups and stuff, and that's to try and become as good as possible on these stuff. A lot is also telemetry and other stuff, but that's also setup related. So that's something I would try and focus on if you want to get fast and if you want to dominate the time trial leaderboards. But also, something which is very important to do is learn the car you're driving. So something I would do is, after I have put in these paper bunches into my IKEA paper, sort of what you want to call it, I would actually read upon the cars, because that's what I did. I can tell you in the beta when these circuits and cars came out, I read up on them. So let's take this car, for example, the Alpine A44. So something you can read all this gibberish, the history and stuff, which I don't care about. And you have this cool car. But then we go down here. Here is the interesting thing. So what I would do is not care about the weight. I would care about not really the materials either, but I would care about roughly everything else. So here we see it has a 675 horsepower engine, 30 to 50 kilowatt hybrid system, but also I also forgot to say I would also not really listen to the horsepower, because they can change via BOP. And then you can see here the dimensions, gearbox and engine, which also are all very interesting. But I would also, you can also read upon it on Wikipedia to see what it's is. The car is built on the next generation LMP2 chassis, heavily modified version of the Mecha Chrome engine, still blows up a hell of a lot. So that's something I would do. Read up on the vehicles. But when you've read up on the vehicles, what should you read up on? Well, I will look into the circuits. So here, if we just open the image in new tab here, yeah, you have it. So I would read on the history and stuff. And also something I like to do is check the different layouts. So you have the club layout, which looks very simple and cool. We have the short one, which, oh, this one actually looks really nice. And you have the motorcycle one. I believe it's, yeah, obviously the Grand Prix circuit is announced because that's the Petit Le Mans layouts. But I don't know if they have announced any of these. So I won't be saying if any are getting added, even if I know that one is getting added or not. But what I can tell you though is something exclusive. I can give you some information on what to think about when driving this circuit. So you start there, start finish line, but actually it's roughly here something in AMS2 because of some weird thing where they can't sort of keep the start and finish line at the different positions of the pass. It's something weird. I believe I can say this. So if I can't, oh, we'll see about that. I might get a slap on the wrist by Crimson, or he might get annoyed. We will have to see. But then turn one, it sort of happens at the downhill. Wait, I can actually maybe show you using a onboard of the track. So let me just get to you in a second. Okay, so this is the track lap record set by what's the guys called? They're called Rexy AO Racing. I really like their Twitter account, and they posted like they don't like copyright infringement, so let's hope they don't get mad about this one. So hopefully you can hear. Yes. So coming down the start finish straight, the line is roughly somewhere around here where the car is, but then if we go to here, when you drive here with the car, it's a bit of a downhill, it's a bit of a slope on the entry, so it's quite a bit hard to actually brake in. It feels like when you brake too late, you go into the grass. But if you brake late, it feels always, when you go through it, it feels a bit like you're braking too early. But then you go from the corner sometimes and it feels like, oh, it was actually just right. So that's something to remember. But I like to brake roughly where it is this highly rubbered, even in GT3 cars, and also even in LMDH cars. And then, yeah, you can hear him braking here. And then I also like to kiss the apex here and aim for the exit curb. Because you will also know when you're going too fast, because this is a bit of a dip at the apex too. So you go up a hill after the apex. And if you have too much speed, you will just not hit it or touch the grass. And otherwise you will just go quite neatly through here. So that's something to think about. Then when you get up the hill, yeah, the racing line is very close actually. I can show here on the mouse. The racing line is actually here, the rubbered in line, and it's very close to this grass. But in my opinion, I like what Rex is doing and taking a wide line on the entry to this blind corner. So then you can get a straighter line through here. Because also here, you're going over a crest, and then right after the crest is a very tricky braking section for a roughly a 90-degree right-hander, which you really need to nail for the S's. So this is what I like to do, what they are doing. So then you go here, and then at these curbs roughly, I try to brake, but that's with the default setup. I haven't played with setups yet. So that's something to think about too. But you can see there that they started braking, and then yeah, you can actually ride that curb quite nicely in AMS2. But if you go too far in on it, try to ride it a bit too much, you will get an invalid lap time. So that's something to think about. Then going for the SS, try and keep it flat out, which after like during lap 1 and maybe lap 2, you aren't fully possible to do that with the default setup. But then after lap 3 and such, you will be able to take this flat. Then going through here. Here we come to, in my opinion, the trickiest corner. The second trickiest one was the top one after the crest. Here, it doesn't look so tricky, but let's see if you can see it in the footage. Okay, so you can't fully see it. I don't know how much it is in real life, but here when you drive, right here, roughly where you can see this bad patch, there is a big bump there in AMS2. So when you go over there and brake, if you just brake straight, and not a lot will happen, the car will get a bit unsettled and you will be able to drive, maybe a bit of understeer. But if you try and brake and turn, or maybe brake a bit too hard through when going over it, you will unsettle the car and you will either spin or go into the gravel. So that's something really important to try and nail. So then when you go through here, you bump, and then you hit that curb. And then here you can ride, exactly like Rex is doing here. No issue. Then going straight through here. And then when you get to this section, I like to brake roughly here. I believe you come into here in like 4th or 5th gear. And I like to brake quite a little early and then take it in 3rd gear. So then you hit the apex like they are doing there. Then you go over to the left apex. Then when it's starting to rubber in here, you brake and get to 1st and turn. And then try and get on the exit curb like that. And get as much get on full throttle as quickly as possible to just go on the straight here. Then we get through here. They're actually they're going quite fast, quite quickly, and I believe in the default setup you can get a bit over 300 or roughly 300 in these cars. So it's a very fast section. In the LMDH cars, when you're going on with the default setup, you're nearly going to 7th gear, but you shouldn't shift because then the torque will low and then you won't accelerate as quickly at the higher top speed, at the higher speed. So it's something to think about when going through here. And then also, this is quite a tricky braking section, because I never felt like I've fully nailed it, because a lot of the times you just try and brake, because this is a dip. If you try and brake too late, where it's rubbered in, you feel like you can take it. If you try and brake there, you would just go off into the gravel over here. But if you brake a bit before it, you will actually make the corner. And sometimes it's quite nice, but sometimes it feels like maybe you're braking slightly too early. But then if you try and brake a bit later, you go into the gravel. So it's a very strange corner in terms of braking. But it seems like they have obviously tuned their car a bit, set up it so it could actually brake later. But obviously I'm talking default setup. There you go, touch there and touch there. Then exiting here, you can get on the power early, which is quite fine. But then when you get over the hill here, I don't know what it is, but when you get roughly where Rex is now, the car, the rear, gets a little bit unsettled. They fixed it a little bit recently, but it can get a bit unsettled, the rear. Nothing like major which will make you spin, but it's something noticeable, and it feels really weird in the car. And then what you want to do is also try and get as wide as possible on the exit. Because you're going over a crest and you're trying to go to the apex/entry of the last corner, it can be a bit tricky to nail it perfectly, but after a few times you know where to actually place the car on the exit of the second to last corner to get a perfect entry into the last corner. And then you get past here, you can go over the curbs, and there you are. That's roughly it, I would say, about Road Atlanta. If you want any other track guides like this, I can give them to you pre V1.6 or post V1.6. It's something for you to know. If you think my hair is a bit crazy, comment it down below too. And once you're done there, please hit the like button and also subscribe. My next video, we'll have to see what it's on. It could be a track guide of the other two tracks which have been confirmed. One was confirmed by Renato to be Sebring. The other one was confirmed by Overtake to be Mosport. And and those were the three tracks. So we'll have to see if Detroit maybe comes with this update or later. Any other stuff? Maybe a race room video in there somewhere if you want it. I got a interesting car. I don't remember what it was, but it was one of their hill climb cars. One where if you were subscribed to the newsletter and were one of the first 1,000 people to use their code, you could get it. I fortunately got it, so we'll have to see about what happens there. But until then, I've been Racing Legend, you've been my amazing viewers. Thank you for watching. Goodbye!